Hello there and welcome back to Building with the Boys. Lots this week. So we had, if you've been watching the channel, we've had a ton of stuff. We had like a lot of videos go last week, so like 11 videos go last week. 12 videos. We had Titanic, which is always my favourite time of the month, Titanic. I love Titanic. And we've built the entire promenade deck now. So that is, let's say, done. The base of the promenade deck is done. We're going to be building parts to go on to that over the next, I would imagine, 4 at least. And then hopefully we'll start bolting these decks together, because the problem that I and a lot of part builders have, particularly with cars, is you end up essentially having to store double the model. So when you're building a car, if you've built the chassis and now you're building the frame, you end up having, 2 of those full lengths trying to store. I had it with Ecto, so for the longest time, we had the chassis with Ecto complete. Then we built the entire frame, and it was ages before we put them together, but you were essentially trying to store 2 full-length models, and it's like, ugh. So I've got a lot kind of on the build at the moment, and finding storage for all of this whilst it's not together is not the easiest bloody thing. So I've got my decks all over the place. I've got the engine room. I've got the actual hull. So I've got 2 decks, an engine room and a hull, and it's all just all sit on top of each other, but it's all everywhere. The doll's house is the only one that kind of behaves. The doll's house goes up there, stays where it is, and that's good. The other one we had was the Tumbler. So with Tumbler, which I've got just here, we are building cockpit at the moment. So we've built the chair. It's a very pretty chair, but it took like 4 issues to build the chair, which is long. We've got the steering, I want to say steering wheel joysticks, but it's looking nice to give us an idea of how wide this thing's going to be. And it's looking good. The only concern is how much of it we're going to see, because I've got a feeling that when that thing's all compact, we'll have this tiny hatch to look down into, because you're not going to be able to get right in there. So I wonder about that. I wonder how much we're actually going to see once this is all built and together. But it's been a blast. So I really like Tumbler. I've kind of chilled, I think, a little bit. And I think Iron Man, my mate over here, was a good learning curve for me, because there was so little in Iron Man that I just kind of I accept it now. That's the way it is. The only way you can do. There's no point in getting angry about it, because when it comes to part works, we've discussed this before, the economics of it, and I've never known one that doesn't have this. You always get a handful of issues where you go, really? And it's like nothing to it. There's like so little to it. You're like, is that it? Some worse than others. I mean, Iron Man was particularly bad for that. But it's the nature of the beast. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter when you get these parts. You know it's going to take up, say, with Iron Man, 100 issues to build. So it doesn't really matter if you're getting a massive piece of chest or you're getting a tiny piece of ankle. It's still going to take 100 issues. You're going to get there. So it's the same with the Tumbler. We know Tumbler is 120 issues. That's the way it is, right? So it doesn't matter if we get massive parts of chassis or we get a tiny piece of seatbelt. It's all parts that we need, and ultimately we're going to be left with a giant Tumbler at the end of it. So it is what it is, We have had something else turn up as well. So I have got, I've got the Gauntlet. So this is issues. It's our first box of 5 parts for the Gauntlet. So we're now getting 5 parts a month. It's not like the Tumbler where we get 6 every 6 weeks. We get 5 parts every 4 weeks of the Gauntlet. I don't know why, but that's the way they chose to do it. So the Gauntlet's going to be complete before a lot of the models that we started before it. So the Gauntlet's going to be complete around about the same time as the Titanic is. But we've only just really started the Gauntlet, which is strange. I'm not building it yet, and the reason why is because it's a big week for the boys of Building with the Boys. Because Oscar, who is my tag team partner building the Gauntlet, because it's his Gauntlet, is in Paris at the moment. So he is having an absolute blast in Paris with his mates. He's there on a school trip. And it cracks me up. So me and his mother send him to Paris because we're thinking, well, it's good for his education. He's learning French. It's good for him to go on the Paris trip. He's doing well in French. Before he went on Sunday night, I'm talking to him and I'm going through some kind of basic French phrases with him. And they're going to a restaurant. I said, so when the restaurant brings your food, you say, thank you. I went, yeah, but you say, thank you. Said, no, in French. He was like, I don't know, thank you. And I'm like, you've been doing French for 2 years and you don't know thank you? And we just paid to send you to Paris. I was like, merci. That's all it is. But he said they haven't taught us that, but there's no way you haven't learned thank you. I'm pretty sure next to bonjour and je m'appelle, I'm pretty sure thank you is one of the very first things you learn. I'm like, bloody hell. So after a bit of digging about, so why are you so eager to go to Paris? And like, they're going to Park Asterix. So tomorrow on his trip, they're going to the Asterix theme park. That's all any of these kids give a damn about. They've done some wonderful things. So today they went to the Arc de Triomphe. They went to Notre Dame. They've seen a lot today. They walked on the Champs-Élysées. They've done a lot. None of them are interested. They all just want to go on the roller coasters tomorrow. Like, fair enough to be young. I went on a legendary trip to Paris when I was a kid. I can't tell you about it because my wife doesn't like me telling the story, but needless to say, it was fun. I was 16. It was fun. And then on the Jack side of things, so Jackie has his first wrestling match, his first full match in front of a paying crowd this Saturday, and I'm very nervous for him, but I'm very proud of him because seeing the work that he's done on it is amazing. It really is. His ring gear is superb. When we've got, I'd love to show you some spoilers of it, but I can't. When he has his match, if I can get some highlights of it, I will upload it to the channel just so you can see Jackie doing his thing. But he is a heel. He's a bad guy. And he is handsome Jack Heartthrob, the most gorgeous wrestler that ever lived. And it's really funny. It really is. He's very good on the mic, so he's very good at what he does. And I've been taking bumps for him as he's been practicing moves. So this evening, I've been out in the garden. I've taken so many elbow drops. It's unreal. It's like, I'm like, oh, yep, that one got me. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to get me with the fleshy part of your arm there, mate. You're driving the elbow right into the sternum every time. So I took a couple of those. I took a leg drop to the chin. I took at least 6 rude awakenings. So, but he claims it's all good for his training. I think he just wants to beat his dad up, you know. So it's been interesting. And then the other thing we've got is when Oscar comes back next week, he's in his school's production of West Side Story, so we get to see that as well. Remarkable boys. I'm very proud of them. I really am. They blow me away with what they can do. But we do, as I said, we do have the next 6 of the Infinity Gauntlet. So once that's done, I'll probably be up on the channel on Friday, if not Saturday, because he wants to be here. It wouldn't be right for me to build it without him here. So we'll make sure that he's here to do that. Speaking of Marvel, something very, very exciting has been kind of leaked. I say leaked. This is certainly a controlled leak. Pictures have been leaked of Deadpool 3. Now, I've got a funny relationship with the Deadpool movies. I'm not particularly a fan, and the reason why is because I am a fan of Deadpool the character, and I'm a fan of Deadpool in the comics. No one says to me, well, that's what the character's like. It ain't. I'm telling you now, it ain't. If you've read the comics for years like I have, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is not Deadpool from the comics in the slightest. Nothing like him. For me, and again, I know a lot of people like Deadpool, so I'm watching my mouth with how I kind of phrase it, but for me, the Deadpool movies are mediocre superhero movies with dick jokes. That's essentially what they are. But I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I just kind of find it a little lowest case denominator. But that said, they did bring us Cable, and they brought us a very good version of Colossus and the Juggernaut. Well, they've gone one better with this one. So we finally get to see something that we have been waiting to see for 23 years at this point. And it's this. So that's Wolverine in the suit. In the actual, the blue and yellow, which is incredible. Because we've been waiting like 23 years to see him finally put the comic book suit on. And it looks like we're going to get that in Deadpool. We're definitely going to get Deadpool because there it is. I just want to make sure he gets the cowl. As long as he gets the cowl, I'm happy. Something very interesting about these images as well, because we don't know exactly what the extent of Hugh Jackman's involvement in Deadpool is. And I would imagine, based on something in these pictures that have been leaked, it might be quite small. I hope I'm not right, but I think Hugh Jackman's involvement is going to be probably one scene, and it's going to be that scene where they're fighting, and I think that happens right at the start of the movie. because it would appear that big fight that they're having takes place on the 20th Century Fox logo. This is that logo. Now, in the next picture, you can see that logo is the debris they're fighting amongst. So I've got a feeling that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a cameo at the start of the movie where him and Deadpool have a tear up. The logo gets destroyed, then we get the rest of the movie. But look carefully and you can see that the actual rubble is the 20th Century Fox logo. So it depends what that is. I mean, the question now is Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine, or is Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine? Because the character of Deadpool, I mean, he breaks the fourth wall in the movies quite a lot, but the character in the comic books was very different, in that he breaks the fourth wall in a different way. He's a comic book character that is conscious that he's a comic book character. So Deadpool had yellow speech bubbles in the comic. Whenever he had yellow speech bubbles, he was talking to the reader, and it was a very surreal thing. So he would be all in on the story, but he would be like, I know this is a story. I know this is being written. I know how this ends. I know. And that's how it was. It was very strange. He was a very strange character that kind of was in a dimension of his own, because he knew what he was. I know I'm a comic book character. I know that none of this is real. I know that I'm a figment of someone's imagination. So it's very strange. But good. If you like Deadpool, there is a show that was on Netflix, I hope it's still there, that I've recommended so many times to people, but it's such a hard sell because they go, I never want to see that. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it is magnificent. If you've never seen the show Happy, I can't recommend it enough. If you are a fan of Deadpool movies, if you're a fan of Deadpool in general, Happy is right up your street, and it is fantastic. This is Happy. Now, the reason why it's such a hard sell is because it's a bizarre one. It's about a guy that gets injured, and when he wakes up, he can see this little unicorn, like a cartoon unicorn, which is enough to make people go, I'm out, that sounds terrible. It isn't. When you find out why he's seeing the unicorn and what it is, it's magnificent. It's a very violent show. It's a very sweary show, but it's a very funny show, and it's actually quite moving in parts as well. So if you haven't seen Happy, I recommend looking that one out because it's a great one. Coming up on the channel, actually, we've got the Infinity Gauntlet, but the other thing we've got is the Doll's House is shipping this week as well. So next week, we should have the Doll's House. And in that one, we will be doing a lot. So we pretty much complete the second floor, and then we're going to start moving up to floor 3. And the house is going to go up rapidly now. News on that one that's come out is over in Japan at the moment. I've mentioned this before, they're offering the case, but they're now at 178. Now, the actual build of this is 120 issues. But there is an extension of a further 80 issues that build an ice cream truck and a Christmas wagon. So you start with the Christmas wagon, but you don't finish the Christmas wagon, and you then move on to the ice cream truck. So the ice cream truck is complete by issue 177. So by 177, the ice cream truck's complete. The Christmas wagon needs, I'd say, about 5 or 6 pieces. But they've just hit issue 178, and what they're doing on that one is they're actually extending the base. So we can now see the parts that are going to extend the base that lock on. So they extend out because the risers, they're called. So what you're going to have is lampposts. You're going to have outside lighting for the Doll's House, which is part of the reason why I'm doing the build. I like the ice cream truck. I like the Christmas wagon. I'm not overly bothered about those, but the idea of being able to have outside lighting, because a lot more lighting gets added to the outside, I'm all over, and I really want that, and I want that a lot. So that'll be nice. The other thing that's happened recently is Fan Home do some fantastic kind of events for press days and things like that. If you're interested in the Fast and Furious, they just had a Fast and Furious sort of event day where they showed the main Dodge Charger that you can get from them, but also the Fast and Furious car collection. So if any of you look at the smaller cars, they kind of had them all on display. So this is those. So there's some really nice ones there. I mean, I've said before, Fast and Furious is not my thing, but I think that's a lovely collection. If you're really into it, you can get pretty much every car from the movie. It's a nice little collection. I debate on whether or not you can get those cheaper elsewhere, or if you want every single car that's in the movie. But again, if you're into it and you're a collector and a completist, I think it's a great collection. I really do, and it's definitely one to go for. other things that are coming up. So I'm still waiting on some news to be confirmed about a couple of things. I don't want to say this is coming when and then it isn't, because there's a big difference between a rumor and something that actually happens. So I'm not. There's some good stuff in the pipeline, but again, I'm not until I've actually seen it for myself, seen it confirmed for myself. I'm not going to say. I'm not just not going to go into it because oh, you said this was coming. But what is happening, and this is an important one, is Ecto1 is due to ship on Monday. So on the 17th, Ecto1 is due to ship. That's this Monday. However, FanHome have said that for some subscribers, there is going to be a further 3-week delay. They haven't said who. So I don't know if that's people at the very beginning of the build. I don't know if it's people in the middle of the build. I don't know if it's people at the end of the build. But some of us, they said it's a fairly small number, are going to have a further 3-week delay. I don't think it's that big a deal if 3 weeks is 3 weeks. If 3 weeks turns out to be 3 months, then that's a problem. But I don't know. They have said whoever it is that's affected will know by Thursday. So come Thursday, if you haven't had an email, you probably ain't going to get an email. You're probably all right. But if Thursday you've got a FanHome email, we're one of the ones getting delayed. So it could be me. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If it is, okay, c'est la vie. You know, we are hopefully going to finish that car at some point. If it isn't, you know, I mean, if I am one of the unfortunate ones, I'm not that bothered if the rest of you do get your stuff and you can carry on building. I think that's great because it just means Ecto is back from the ashes. So hopefully we will get some news soon, very soon, about exactly who is or isn't affected by Ecto1. I hope it's not me. I really just want to get it built, but we'll see. We'll see, won't we? The other one, the delay from FanHome, I didn't mention this, but the Infinity Gauntlet. In this pack of Infinity Gauntlet, we were supposed to be getting posters. So we were due to receive posters of Endgame and Infinity War that they didn't have, which caused a delay. So they kind of waited about a week, I think, to see if these things were going to turn up. They didn't. So we'll be getting the next one. I'm not that bothered. I mean, honestly, when it comes to free gifts, they're nice, but I never want my model delayed for the sake of a free gift. I just don't. So if we get them in the next one, brilliant. If we don't get them in the next one, I'm not that bothered. I'm sure we'll get them at some point. I just want the parts of the model. That's all I want. I don't really want to build the Infinity Gauntlet. But like I said, the kid's in Paris. I'm not going to do it without him. What are we watching? We watched... we went back through the In-Betweeners. That was fun. But film-wise, we've not really seen anything this week. We've watched a bunch of old movies. So we watched Rocky IV, which... That's not aged well. I mean, it's just... This hasn't aged well. This isn't a good movie. We watched a few other bits and pieces, but all my shows have kind of ended at the moment, so I've got nothing that I'm really enjoying. We are enjoying the hell out of Secret Invasion. That's been great. That's been really good. But other than that, we were going to go see... This is the thing. I mean, we were going to see Indiana Jones, but we've heard It's All Right. And unfortunately, this summer seems to be littered with It's All Right movies. Which is bad. And I mean, at a time when Cineworld look like they're going under, it's not good that what product is being put out in cinemas is This All Right. You know, you need something to get butts on seats. That's where we need to be. I mean, this is July the 4th weekend just gone, and what have we got? Indiana Jones with an 81-year-old Indiana Jones. So it's hardly surprising that people are going, It's All Right. And I think that's what's going on with it. So with the with the cinemas going under, it's hardly surprising. I mean, you've got a two-pronged attack there. Nothing worth watching is being released at the cinemas. Anything that is worth watching is on one of the streaming services a few weeks later. So it's hardly a surprise this has happened. Disney have made a rod for their own back when they're surprised that people aren't going to watch Elemental. So that's the worst grossing Pixar film of all time. It's had the lowest box office of any Pixar movie up to this point. It's hardly a surprise, is it? I mean, if we look at it, we look at the last handful of Pixar movies that have come out. None of them have been great, have they? Pixar used to be a sure thing. I loved Pixar for the longest time, but the past 4 or 5 Pixar movies have been okay. They've not been great. I mean, what was the last one? Turning Red? We hated Turning Red. Absolutely hated it. And I've had the I've had the criticism of our opinion of that. It was because you're a man. It's because you wouldn't get it. It's aimed at. No, it's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with that at all. I'm a man, but I can enjoy more than one movie that's aimed at a female audience. My problem with Turning Red was there wasn't a single likable character in it. Not one. The main character was kind of annoying as hell. Her parents were god awful. The story was bordering on nonsensical. I appreciate there's a lot of allegory in it, but I just thought it was horrible. I thought it was a horrible movie. And there's this whole thing. Well, in our world, our mothers are horrible to us. Okay, well then kill that. Then you have the opportunity to stop that, don't you? And it just kind of was. It was a horrible movie. So it wasn't good. And then what do we have before that? We had Soul. It was okay. It was all right. But it was nothing remarkable. And then before that, we had Onward. Now I really enjoyed Onward. But again, no, Buzz Lightyear. Christ, I've missed Buzz Lightyear. We had Buzz Lightyear. That was terrible. So yeah, before Elemental we had Buzz Lightyear. Before Buzz Lightyear we had Soul. Before Soul we had Onward. I enjoyed Onward. Everything after Onward has been kind of terrible. I'll be honest with you. I didn't enjoy Turning Red. I didn't enjoy Buzz Lightyear. I didn't enjoy Soul really. And Elemental kind of looks like a sequel to Inside Out, but it isn't. And I don't know what's going on with them. Pixar are always kind of the masters of this. And if you look at Soul and you look at Elemental and you look at Inside Out, the character design looks almost identical. These kind of like flame characters. And you think, well, what's going on with you? You used to be the kind of trendsetter. Now you just kind of feels lazy. Sad, really. So when it's gonna cost a typical family 30, 40, 50 quid to take their kids to go and see inside a Pixar movie, or you think, well, that will literally be on Disney Plus in 4 weeks' time, you're not going to bother. You're just not going to do it. So that's part of it. And Cineworld as well is a funny one. I worked for a cinema when I was younger. So it was my first job, my first proper job. I worked for a cinema. And I can remember my boss saying to me, I had a boss at the time that I thought was kind of a dick, but looking back at it, he had a point. And his whole thing was, he'd say to me, you have to understand, if you own a cinema or you work in the cinema, you are not in the entertainment business and you are not in the movie business. And I said, well, what business are we in then? And he said, we are in the confectionery selling business. That is our business. And it's true. So cinemas don't make that much money from the sale of a cinema ticket. They don't. They make some. But they make the lion's share of that goes to the film companies. Where they make their money is by selling you overpriced confectionery. That is what keeps the cinema afloat, which is a nuts business model if you look at it. Because again, in times when money's tight for a lot of people, the cinema's a treat. It's an occasion. So you probably can afford the tickets. And then if you're going to get there and you've just paid 48 quid for a family of four to go and watch a movie, you're probably not going to spend 27 quid on 4 popcorns, because that's what it's going to cost you. 4 popcorns and 4 drinks. It's going to cost you around about 27, 28 pounds. So you're probably not going to bother. And I think that's part of the problem. However, because that popcorn costs them nothing, if they were knocking it out for a lot cheaper, they'd sell a lot more of it and make a lot more money. But they don't. They charge these ridiculous prices. Like with the combi deal, you can get a hot dog and a Coke for £10.80, and you're like, that's not good. That's terrible. So that's part of it. And I say this as someone that frequents Cineworld. I'm constantly at Cineworld, but I don't buy confectionery from there ever. So that's part of the problem. It's sad, really, because I really don't want to see the cinema go under. I love the cinema. I think those massive chains would hurt badly if they were gone. I'm lucky enough that we've got a very small independent cinema by us, and it's gorgeous. It is a very, it's got a very Art Nouveau look to it. It's got a very Art Deco look. It's beautiful. This is it. I took the kids to see Super Mario here, but you can see it's tiny. It probably seats about 100 people, but it is beautiful. The guy takes no messing. There's no talking. You can get popcorn for £1. Look at this place. Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful in there. So it's stunning. And the movies start promptly. There's no trailers, there's no adverts, no nothing. So if the movie starts at 2, the movie starts at 2. That's the way it is. He doesn't let people come rolling in 20 minutes late. They sit down when the things will start. He basically locks the doors, turns the movie on himself, and bam, and off we go. And it's a beautiful experience. And as I said about the boss that I used to find annoying, he would say to me, he'd always make sure we wore our bow ties, and I was an usher back in the day where we'd see you to your seat and we'd welcome you and we'd walk you through and you sat there and this is what we do. He would say to us, this is an occasion. He said, for a lot of people, this is the one night out they're going to get. He said, they've had to arrange babysitters and blah, 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 blah. He said, so it's our duty to make sure that this evening is a good evening for them. So we make sure people don't talk. We make sure people aren't, back in the day, smoking. We make sure people weren't on mobile phones, which are a relatively new thing at the time. And nothing shuts you up faster than an usher's torch landed on you. And that's what we used to do. And I had good times, man. I can remember having just a blast at the cinema. We used to steal the pick-a-mix, and the woman that worked behind the pick-a-mix counter, she'd go home at like 10, and we'd be left to lock up at around midnight. And we used to nick mint imperials, right, at the pick-a-mix. She knew. So it's like she'd know if you're like, I'm having a flying saucer. She'd come in, who's been in the flying saucers? I'd be like, Jesus Christ, does she count them before she goes home? So it was good. It was good times, man. We had happy times. We really did. And that was back when the movies were on reels. Now they turn up on hard drives. You just plug them in, and off it goes. But it used to be, we used to have a projectionist that would come in, and the movies would turn up on the Tuesday, and he would literally have to cut and splice them into one reel. So they'd turn up in about 8 reels. He would cut them, and they used to be a thing called cigarette burns. So you get this flash up in the corner. On the old school movies, and that was basically telling the projectionist the next reel needs to be changed. But we had newer projectors where they cut it all down into one enormous reel. This thing was huge, and it used to sit on the floor and feed up into the machines, and we had 6 projectors. And it was amazing. Watching him do it was amazing. And he used to give us little film clips. So he'd clip out a bit of, I remember having one of Mars Attacks, he'd clip out a thing of that, do you want this? And I go, yeah, I want that. And then look full of these things, because he'd just take little one shot out, bam, do you want that? Yeah, I want that. But that was a skill. And I mean, that's a labour that's lost now, because it's just no longer necessary. But a projectionist was a skill. But sadly, no more. There's no more. But that's me getting all sentimental and stroppy and old. that's the way it is. Model-wise, the thing I need to talk about is Prime Day. So it was Prime Day yesterday and today, Wednesday. Be cautious, right? Be cautious. Just because Prime are telling you this is a fantastic price doesn't mean it is, because I can already see things on there today when I've looked where I'm like, that was cheaper last week. So the Roker pinball machine was one where I thought, I'm going for it. If that's going to come down, I'm going for it. And they're showing this bargain price of $134.99. Last week it was 125 quid. This week it's 134.99. But they're saying Prime Day special. I'm like, why? But putting up 9 quid. There's nothing special about that. So the Roker models, I've not really seen any that are a great price. There's one or two I'm like, but I've seen them cheaper than they are on Prime Day. Row-Life, however, there's a couple on Row-Life where you can get an absolute steal on them. So there's little Row-Life rooms. There's some good ones of those about at the moment. Book Nooks have come down around about 4 quid. I mean, again, if you want one now, it's probably the best time to go for it. But be cautious of Prime Day. It's kind of like Black Friday. Just because they say it's a bargain doesn't mean it is. If it's something you've had your eye on for a while and now it's cheaper, then you've got a bargain. If it's something you've had your eye on for a while, go and look at it today and see if Prime Day has actually made a difference. But just be cautious. Don't go mad and blowing all your money because you think you're getting a bargain, because you might not be, and you might get it cheaper when Prime Day's finished. As nuts as that is, that's the way it is. Just a word of the side of caution there for you. That's about all from me. As I said before, if you're interested in the wrestling, Evolution Wrestling is going to be in Bristol very soon. That's this one here. So if you enjoy your wrestling, you're in that area, or you can make it to that area, it's a fantastic show. You get a 3-hour show for a tenner. Absolute bargain. I'll pop the link to the tickets down below. Remember, Monday the 17th, Ecto is shipping, but something else is happening on Monday the 17th. Friend of the channel, Alan Palmer, his son Corbin turns, I'm not going to tell you how old he is, I've not been told I'm allowed permission to do that. It's Corbin's birthday on Monday. Here's a picture of Corbin. Happy birthday, Corbin. Happy birthday, Corbin. Your dad sent that picture, so if you're not happy about it, take it up with him. If you do want a birthday shout out on the channel, I'm more than happy to do that. Me and Corbin have quite a lot in common, so we are both massive fans of the Warriors, and I've advised him this week to go watch The Wanderers. So any of you out there that are fans of the Warriors that have never seen The Wanderers, you're missing out. Check it out. It's really good. But happy birthday, Corbin. I hope you have a fantastic one. I really do. That is about all from me now. We are doing Ask Me Anything for my birthday, which is on the 23rd. So 2 weeks Sunday, a week Sunday is my birthday, where I'm going to be 44 years old. All the fours. I'm getting old now. My favourite childhood memory is my knees and back not hurting like all the time. That's where I am in life. I'd sound like a pepper grinder when I move and stand up. But I'm going to be 44 years old. So for my birthday, I'm going to do another Ask Me Anything. We've had a lot of questions come in. There's still room for more. We're not going to never get through all of them, but we're going to pick them out and read them. So if you have a question for Bill and the boys about anything at all, try and keep it clean. We'll address them on the channel. I've had the one thing I will say, don't ask me, because I know it's been asked so many times. Do you know what? I'm just going to answer it now. We'll get out of the way. The one thing I keep getting asked is, what does your tattoo say? So I'll show you. I'll show you now, and we can get out of the way, because we had, like, my wife said, you've had about 9 times people have said, what's your tattoo say? So here is my tattoo. I can't. Right, hold on. Let's get this. Right. There we go. It says Nevermore. And it's from the Edgar Allan Poe poem, The Raven. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. That's what that says, nevermore. Now the question would be, why did you go? Well, that's a story for another day, but that's what my tattoo says. It says nevermore. I've got lots of tattoos. If I take my shirt off, I look like a road map, but that is the one that you keep seeing. They say, what does that say? It says nevermore. So now you know. That is definitely all from me. If you want to submit a question to Ask Me Anything, please email it to buildingboys@outlook.com. Put in your title, Ask Me Anything, and then put your question in the message, the main body. My wife will read those. She writes them down. We'll all go in a bowl, we'll pick them out, and we'll do them. Be a lot of fun. In a world where you can be anything at all, and I bloody well mean it, just be nice. Honestly, man, just be nice. If you have the opportunity to be nice to somebody, do it, right? Seriously, and it will come back. I promise you. You put good out there, good comes back. It genuinely does. So in a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. Stay safe, and I'll see you very, very soon when the boys back from Paris for Infinity Gauntlet. But until then, take care.